things. Rise up, stand the price, the loss of legs. My occupation, in essence, not complacent. Block the banquet, stop the computation. I'ma make the coda, fools just wanna make the quota. They can't rock around here, they need baking soda. This a hydra, no way they taking over. Lay them below the basement with snakes and cobras.
This is Shawn Crystal. Catch the Inkpulp podcast on PharcydeTV Wednesdays at noon Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Come hang. Peace. This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life. Welcome to the Inkpulp podcast. I'm your host, and today your teacher, Shawn Crystal. Like the setting, surrounded by books, knowledge. Alright, so let's hop into part 2 of drawing the human head. Just a little bit, there we go. Alright, so when it comes to drawing the human head, raise my chair a little, there we go. Sorry. Today we're going to talk about the 3/4 presentation of the human head. We talked about the front, and we talked about the profile, and we just did some general shapes. And we're going to go beyond that to break down the human head into masses and wedges. And these are just three-dimensional geometric shapes. They're going to help give your drawing volume, and they're going to help you understand how to apply light and shadow to that, which is actually going to be lesson 3 on the next podcast. So let's get busy. I enjoy a 3/4 profile more than a 3/4 presentation, more than any of the others, because it tends to have the most depth. I've talked about those other ones being flat. So what I like to do is kind of get my center line in place. And work off of that. So again, all the rules apply that we've established before. Okay? And looking at it, I can see I already want the chin to be higher than this mark. Drawing is really a series of making marks and using that wrong mark to tell you where to make the right mark. So it's constantly an adjustment you're doing. So this cranial mass is really a great starting point and a really good landmark to hold on to. Okay. So, let's see if we end it here, split this in half, and of course that's generally where the nose is going to be, in half here, the mouth. Alright, we said we've got our eyes. Now, Shawn, why is one eye a perfect circle and one eye a 3/4 presentation? One eye more of an oval. It deals with the wrapping or the volume of the head, and a sphere, as it turns away from you, gets a little squished, like an oval. All right, so let's talk about. Well, let me get in what we've talked about so far. So having this little divot here is nice. And then, of course, you can get the nose in. And I'm making adjustments as I go. Having these rules are nice, but as you go, you can change it, you can tweak it. I can see I need to set this eye behind the nose a little more. And this one's good here. And then we're going to have our mouth here. Okay. And then, as we talked about before, upper eyelid. always good to make sure these line up properly. Okay, and let's just get the eyelid in place. And I'm still drawing fairly light because I may want to change things. That goes there. We can have our brow here. And again, this brow will come up here. Okay, now let's start addressing, well, let me get the ear in. Getting a little bit ahead of myself. Where it lines up at the top of the eye. Again, my shorthand for the ear, which has served me well over the years. Okay, so let's talk about some anatomy of the head here. So the eyes are tucked into the socket. Alright, so what you have here is these geometric shapes, and this is the shape, the mass right here of the eye socket. And as we go, you'll see more and more what I'm talking about. Okay, and I'm going to work very geometric. So I'm going to add hard angles where we might not have them normally. And I'm also going to add lines so you can see the geometry of everything I'm drawing. So the upper eyelid, there too. Okay, the nose has a plane like this, and then you've got a mass here. Alright, the wings of the nose have planes themselves, and there's a shelf on the nose there. Okay, and when we get into light and shadow, this will all really start to make a lot of sense. Alright, so now this wedge of the front cranial mass is right about there. Okay. Now what happens next is we come down and we create the mass where the cheekbones are. Same thing on this side. Follow the landmarks. So that should come into about there. Okay. So you're starting to see a very three-dimensional portrayal of the face. I got a little ahead of myself in the nose. Let's talk about this mass of the nose here first. There. So you can see the nose is very much this sort of shape. And what we're doing is really finding that shape in everything on the human head. Okay. Now here you can sort of exaggerate the chin if you want a very square chin, jaw. Alright, you've got a mass indicator there. Alright, and then if we keep pushing this idea here, okay. Actually, no. Let me get into the lips here a little bit. Alright, so in the center here, this is the actual shape of the lips. Okay. Let me show you how that works. So your nose attaches to the face. This helps you see the center of your mouth. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Alright. You have an upper lip, like so. Okay, and you have a lower lip, like so. These wings of the lip, like attached to the bottom of the nose. And what you're starting to see here is this plane and this plane. Under this lip, you've got a mass wedge here before the chin. On the underside of the chin, you see it tuck away a little bit. Okay. Basically with the lips, if we look at them in profile, it may help to see this. Alright, so you've got one shelf of the lip tucking under, one facing the light, another tucking under, then the chin facing the light again. So when we get into light and shadow, we'll address that even more. But generally speaking, then you tend to have a little shelf on the bottom lip there. Okay, so we've got these planes loosely sketched in. I don't want to get into the neck too much, but we can lay in some simple masses there. So let's darken. Okay, and right now I'm just getting the contour in place. And yes, this is a very rigid and geometric presentation because this is what I call and what is known as an academic drawing. Okay, it's not meant to be a character design or be a crowd pleaser. It's meant as a learning instructional tool, this drawing. Okay. Oh, that's right, we're doing the darker pupils so the camera can read them a little better. Okay, here we've got the brows. Okay. Get a little bit of that there, a little bit of that there. Let's also talk about the sort of shelf here of the cheekbone. That's going to come into a lot of helpful, handy stuff later. All right. Alright, and so we're left with a simple drawing of the face like we did in episode 1, but now we're adding some planes, some geometric planes, and starting to describe some of the anatomy. So next time when we come in, we're going to talk about adding light and shadow to this. And once you've got your planes in place, you're going to see how kind of easy it is to understand what would be in shadow and what would be in light. So that's about all for today's lesson. I hope it was helpful. And like my previous lesson, if you're enjoying my teaching, please head to inkpulpinstruction.com. Sign up for my newsletter by giving me your email address, and you'll get a free lesson emailed to you as well. And get yourself an episode of Inkpulp Instruction. We should have, by the time this podcast comes out, we should have, I believe it's 7 episodes that will have been out. And then keep your eye out because we're making some big changes for 2022 where we're going to come in with subscription services and a lot of other neat ideas to help build this community so it feels more like I want you to feel less alone with the learning. I mean, that's an option for you. If you just want to be alone with it, that's fine. But I'm going to have more other options that make you feel more like we're a community of artists teaching each other. So that's going to come later. So keep your eye out for that, and thank you for watching. Peace. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. Comics. Hip hop. Life.